A medical service in your country. I don't need your passport.
No, we can go to the hospital.
Not getting.
We are enforcing Section 17 here. Is she a South African? I'm asking.
Which is not.
Yeah, okay. So I can't. Are you a South African? Mama? I don't know what I'm we spoke to the hospital here. We spoke to many people.
Why
Yeah, what a rounds up. I won't take it.
There's a press there.
There's a press. Section 17.
Yeah, but the small up or the big up.
Huh?
The small up or the big up.
The big one.
Or the round one.
Does she not have a government?
Yeah.
Is our healthcare was are supposed to take care of
God.
women?
Oh, it's
Our
my baby's
healthcare
Come
card.
down, come on,
You
Jake.
know we must pay tax.
Oh, God.
You find it?
No.
Can I just keep the bag for you?
We spoke to the hospital. Are you South African?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you South
You say
African?
when I can someone, yeah, you got. You speak like
Only South Africans will pass here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but just you see
Only South
the
Africans will
lady,
pass here. We are enforcing Section
she's
17 today here in this hospital. If you don't have an ID, you're not going to go. Even inside, you take them out.
My mine is old. I don't have a smart card yet.
Go back and fix your own country. Go and face your own government. South African public hospitals and clinics are for South Africans and nobody else. We also have our own problems. We need to fix it in South Africa.
So we are now officially independent practitioners who are relying on employment in the public sector to be able to pursue our careers and also to specialize. As it's what we mostly want to do. We do not accept any of the solutions that have been posed to us, which are to either go overseas or open our practices, because we want to serve the communities from which we come from.
And talk to me about, I know earlier on we mentioned that some doctors that we have here have been unemployed for more than a year. Talk to me about the implications of, it seems at this point, the provincial government not stepping in to assist.
Okay, so I myself and some of my colleagues have only been unemployed for 6 months as we completed our community service end of December. But we are with colleagues who have been unemployed for more. There's some colleagues who have been unemployed since the end of 2023, which means they're 1 year and 6 months in unemployment. The implications of, I can go on all day in terms of the implications. Unemployment means that in the public sector, there's long waiting lines, long waiting periods for surgeries. Our colleagues who are currently employed are overburdened, they're overworked. There's short staffing. All these things they're not exclusive at all. We recently had the death of a colleague in Prince Mshini Memorial Hospital who couldn't take sick leave, was denied sick leave because of the fact that there's short staffing, and he was not coping, and it unfortunately led to his demise. So there is lots of implications based on this. And we have annual cycles in the community and internship. We have mid-year cycles. Most of us here are from the annual cycles and the mid-year cycles that ended last year. But at the end of this month, we have colleagues who are finishing mid-year cycle of ComServe, and they will be joining this very pool of unemployment.
Order, honorable members. Order.
Thank you, Chair. The Division of Revenue must fundamentally respond to the challenges facing the country. Taxes should be transformative and redistributive. Doctors are leaving the country. The remaining doctors are overworked, and sometimes they need to complete triple shifts as the hospitals are understaffed. In some hospitals and clinics, there's shortages of doctors, nurses, and medical equipment. Children are dying of fake foods that are sold in some establishments, and the environmental health practitioners that are trained to prevent such are sitting at home. Communities are overwhelmed by criminals, and yet community policing forums are neglected and SAPS is understaffed. These are the pressing issues that need to be addressed, and the division of revenue must put the people first. Money must be made available to hire more doctors, environmental health practitioners, police reservists, and fund community policing forums. Given the ongoing widespread problem of companies not complying with labor laws, as we saw with the George building collapse, increased allocations to employment and labor for the sourcing of inspectors is critical. SARS turning a blind eye on the taxation in both the formal and the informal sector that is drained by remittances to China, Pakistan, and Bangladesh and other countries is a major cause of concern. We can't turn a blind eye on the fact that people come from other countries, use the infrastructure and services paid for by poor South African taxpayers. They make billions in South Africa but pay no taxes. Instead, they remit billions to their home countries. SARS must be allocated more funding to decisively curb illicit financial flows that are over 100 billion per annum. This would increase the revenue of the state by targeting the multinationals that are illicitly draining the economy. The division of revenue must prioritize human development outcomes, not just tick fiscal boxes. Provinces like the Eastern Cape, Limpopo remain incapacitated despite large populations and high poverty levels. While local government receives a significant allocation, too many municipalities remain dysfunctional and riddled with corruption. The money allocated to municipalities must not be a reward for dysfunction. Lastly, the municipal infrastructure grant and equitable share transfers must be linked to compliance, functionality, and performance, not for the benefit of the politically connected few, because most municipalities are known that there's certain people or a certain group of people who are committing corruption and riddling those institutions. We do not support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is...
In Parliament, MP Zungula reminded the nation of something often overlooked. Our first duty must be to our citizens. The law may not deny healthcare to foreigners, but our hospitals, already overburdened, cannot carry the weight alone. His words cut deep. How do we serve the world when we have not yet served our own? At first, we were quick to judge. We thought it was cruelty. That South Africans were simply being inhumane by blocking undocumented migrants from public hospitals. But today, we pause to understand, to listen, and to reflect on both sides of this unfolding tragedy. A clip of the acting president recently reignited national debate, sparking outrage, and yet, a quiet truth lies beneath.
Good day, fellow South Africans. As you know, I am Angie Motshega. I have been standing in for the president as he has left on president business elsewhere. And I would like to proudly say that as I was in standing with the president's seat, things have improved. There were many naysayers who said that I couldn't make it. They talked down on me when I was Minister of Education, and there are a lot of talks around Parliament that I will not make it. I may not have come from a good school, but I come from a secondary school where we also had all subjects that are in private schools. And then I made my way up to Minister of Defence Force, and here I am standing in for our number one, Mr. Ramaphosa. As I was standing in for him, things have improved. First of all, we can say that the cold front has simmered down to a minimum. Secondly, we've also got around the Pirates that's got a new coach. The F1 movie was released on time. We also know that Hungani Ndlovu is finally free. my boy can definitely do his thing on Scheme Sum, and his performances have skyrocketed since then. We also know that load reduction has been further reduced to more electricity. So as I stand here, I don't want to brag, but as you can tell, just positives where I have been. This is not to brag, as I said before, but it's also to show what I'm capable of. If you want to vote for me as a black female who was underprivileged but overachieving, you can DM me. My handle is @ng_baby212. I'm very proud about us as a nation. We stood together. We are winning. And I hope I have restored what South Africa can do. 30 years of our constitution has been celebrated this year. So with that, I leave you with thoughts to be thanked. Thank you.
I studied medicine in Cuba, completed in 2020, and then went to do integration in the University of Pretoria, did my internship in Temba Hospital. Then I just recently finished my ComServe, and I'm stuck at home, unemployed, because the government can't hire doctors for some reason. They're talking about budget constraints, of which is something that was never really disclosed to us when we were going through the process of studying up until this point. So it's really so sad.
And at the moment we're facing, in Mpumalanga, we are facing the shortage of posts and the government telling us there is no funding. So right now we are frustrated because on the floor right now, on the government sectors, there are not enough doctors. And we are not saying that just because we are the important people who are supposed to be employed, but we are saying this because our community is also suffering, and the people who are far, far away from affording the private sector, as our minister said that we should go to private sectors, are struggling. So we came here today to say we cannot go to private, minister, we cannot go to overseas. We want to be employed because we studied 7 years, we practiced 2 years internship, we practiced 1 year of community service at the end in order to be able to serve our communities that are struggling. Because to us it sounds like an insult as our communities are struggling and poor. Some are earning just 350. Our Tinswalo that was made an example that is earning just 350 is said to be able to afford private per se. That is what our government is saying right now. Meanwhile, people cannot afford such because the minimum money that you have to pay for a consultant private right now is about 550. That's a minimum. And what about the people who are currently not under any insurance? How about the people who don't have any medical aid covering them? So we are here to fight for our grandmothers, the kids that we have seen dying, the people that we have seen suffering, because we've been there in the ground and we've seen the struggle that our communities go through.
Behind hospital walls are empty offices, and outside, doctors roam unemployed. One medical graduate has now gone 6 months without a post, and she is not alone. Many more have been waiting, forgotten, unheard. This isn't about salaries, it's about service. In a brave and emotional confrontation, a young doctor spoke from the heart, not about herself, but about the future of a sick nation. A cry not for wealth, but for the poor, for the patient, for a country that seems to be letting go of its only lifeline.
What's your reflection around what's happening here with the unemployed doctors?
Well, Aldrin, let's talk about unemployment generally. It is not nice, and I don't think anybody in the country, inside or outside government, enjoys the issue of people not being employed. You are aware the concept of unemployed graduates started long ago. It's not only doctors. Yes, there is a shortage of doctors in 90% of the world. We know that very well. But to hire them also, you need resources. Now, in our country, I'm sure you are aware, even in September, the Minister of Finance mentioned it. even in February, we have got very serious austerity measures, very crippling budget cuts that affect not only our capacity to hire doctors, but to perform quite a large number of functions. So yes, we do agree with the grievances of doctors, but in the final analysis, you cannot give a job for which you don't have the means to pay such people, and that's exactly the situation in which we are. I'm a doctor. I would like people, and I'm a minister too. I would like people to get employed, but I don't want to give you an impression that there's a special deal for some people because they are doctors. We also have unemployed nurses, unemployed social workers, all of them, unfortunately, because of austerity measures and budgetary constraints. You can't hire people which you are not able to pay. Any employer anywhere in the world, public or private, will only hire people if you have got money to pay them for that employment.
Health is wealth, then we are bankrupt. It is not that we lack the money. It is the will to spend it where it matters. How can a government with billions in its budget fail to hire a doctor? How do we explain that a hospital has no staff, yet the equipment gathers dust? It's not that there is no money. It's the priorities.
There's a small number of posts that are going to be advertised. Yes, because that's what the province has. So Premier is going to advertise those. Or we are going to advertise. Premier is going to approve today. We are going to advertise those. In the next 7 days, the advert will be out. And then the other posts are not within our space. It's a national process. A national process that is between the Minister of Health, Minister of Finance, and the Parliament. So as soon as they have concluded their process, we then come and advertise. With that said, Premier, we had agreed with the team that after Premier Ekulumile, we go back and start dealing with nitty-gritty. So the meeting that we started in the morning will still continue because they only came down when Premier was coming down. So we'll then go back up with them and acting HOD and deal with the nitty-gritties of how we are going to deal with processes. Premier indicated that when we realized, and this is not this year, it was last year, when we realized that in this coming financial year we're not going to have enough money as a province to employ doctors that are finishing ComServe. We then went to the Premier to say we have a problem. Premier, myself, went to the President and explained all of that. Now, as part of that, the President then engaged his own cabinet, because it's a cabinet that's above us, his own cabinet to say, go and look for extra funding for the province. And because they can't just deal with one province, they then said it's for national. So the 800 that was spoken to or spoken of by the Minister of Finance is in relation to national. Now, who decides what KZN gets out of the 800? It's the National Department of Health. So as soon as the Minister of Health has then indicated to us as a province how many posts they are giving us, then we will advertise those. In the meantime, we have also tried to speak to the Premier to say, can you give us even in Tengane? And that Tengane was amounting to about 20, which is what we are going to be advertising. So the process 800 is a process of the National Minister and National Parliament. So they will tell us how many posts they have, and then we'll be able to advertise according to that Premier. The reason why the province of KwaZulu-Natal has a problem is that in the past 5 years, we have lost about 14 billion rands cut from a baseline, which means every year allocation that has been made has been reduced either by 2 billion rands, 3 billion rands, depending on the finances of that particular year. So we are the only ones in the country who actually have been experiencing budget cuts to that extent. That is why Premier, when he started, he said the province of KwaZulu-Natal now in its entirety lost a amount of 65 billion rands as a whole province. So it's not just us as Department of Health, it's the whole province. You would have noticed that earlier on, social workers also had a similar challenge, and we had to work on that. About a week ago, Premier and MEC Education was addressing the same issues when it comes to education. So it's not just the Department of Health, but it's the whole province, and it's because the whole province has had budget cuts.
Response: a public promise that jobs will come in the next few days. But was it to calm the storm or heal the system? South Africans are watching, waiting, wondering if these promises will ever materialize. Will the words spoken hold the weight of action? Or were they simply spoken to silence the fire that was fast engulfing a nation's conscience? This is not a political debate. This is a matter of life and death. A child dies while a doctor waits for work. A nurse sits idle while patients are turned away. We are not just failing a sector, we are failing ourselves. Let us be honest. Without healthy citizens, we have no economy, no future, no nation. And as the world watches, may we not be remembered for who we denied, but for how we healed.